So as you guys can probably tell on the slide, my name is Charlie Hall. I'm a financial advisor from Northwestern Mutual. First and foremost, I want to say thank you guys for having me here. I know this stuff is extremely exciting for everybody in here. Everybody loves to talk about this stuff. So what I'm going to try to do is keep it relevant. I'm going to keep it short. And hopefully, if anything, maybe you guys find at least one thing we talk about impactful to you, your planning, and maybe to your family. So here's me. So this is what I work for every day. This is my family. So this is my beautiful wife, Vanessa. We've been married for almost 12 years. That's Xander Mann. He is 4. It's a first year T-ball. That's exciting. And that's Emily right there. She is almost 2, and she is the reason why we won't have any more kids. So I'm sure some of y'all can relate to that. So everybody wants to know, what do you guys see in your future, and how does that wrap up into a financial plan? Where are you guys going to be in the next 5, 10 years? Is it going to be in the same position? Are you going to maybe branch out and make your own, be your own business, be your own entity? Are you going to move up maybe to an assistant AD role? Nobody knows what that is, but everybody always needs something to work for. Are we working for a comfortable retirement? Are we going to look for a house full of kids, full of grandkids? Everybody's goal, everybody's future is different. So here's my job is. My job is to help my clients create a roadmap. My biggest job is to help take care of the hills and take care of the curves in that roadmap, because no roadmap's the same one. So that's why I like this picture, because it depicts what life is. There's nothing in life is a straight shot. We always have obstacles to go for. So there's pretty well 5 key topics we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about saving. We're going to talk about everybody's favorite thing to talk about, debt reduction and budgeting, which I know you guys will be zoned in at that one pretty hard. I can believe. We're going to talk about growing your money. We're going to talk about protecting your money, protecting your family. And then we're just going to talk briefly about giving back, whether that's in time or whether that's in monetary value. So there's 2 questions I always ask my clients. You know, where do you want to be tomorrow? What are your goals to get there? And if you break down into that, what do you want to be tomorrow? It's always like to talk about, what do you guys want in retirement and later on in life, not what do you guys need. Everybody goes, well, I only need $2,000 to live on. Well, if you're making $80,000, $2,000, why do you want to cut down lifestyle that much? So I always go, what do you want in retirement, not what do you need in retirement? All right. So always talk about where we're going to be, what's your family look like. And this is when you're talking about your future, putting together your plan, you guys want to be pretty specific about this. So in my industry, you always talk about our vision, where we're going to be for our careers. And they always ask us to be specific. It's no different than retirement planning. If you can't see it, if you can't write it down, then it doesn't really mean anything to you. So kind of give you an example of being specific, kind of use my family. So Vanessa and I are retired. We're both 65. We now have a house on Lake Hampton in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Xander is now, maybe he's a professional baseball player. Hopefully, we'll see. Emily is married. She has 1 child. We get to go see them at least once every month. They get to come see us at least once every month. I get to enjoy golf at least 3 days a week, because around Hot Springs, there are at least 7 golf courses down there. So that's when you talk about specific, you want to be specific, because if you can see it, it means something even more. So where should you put your money? So this is probably the biggest question I get. So whenever I talk to my clients, it's not about, there's not one specific area that's going to get you to retirement. There's not one specific area that's going to give you the best growth. So I'm always about we've got to put all our money into different buckets, because those different buckets at different times are going to talk to each other. So that's why I always use this picture here, because if you can see, it's all these buckets have different knobs on it. My job for my clients is to make sure those knobs are talking to each other. Okay, so we want to make sure those spigots are not turned on too hard, and we want to make sure they're not turned on at the wrong time. So everybody should save 20%. Everybody asks what percentage of my income should I save? I particularly, sometimes it varies upon age, but general rule of thumb, it's 20%. Now that 20% shouldn't be all in retirement planning, because it's the old hat of you're putting all your eggs in that one basket if you just save that 20% in retirement. So I always help my clients spread that money out into different time points in life. Everybody needs short-term savings, which is an emergency fund. You need that 3 to 6 months buffer to whether if you get sick or the car breaks down or if you got to spend that $7,000 to put the AC unit in the house or you need a new roof, you got to have that buffer there. Everybody needs a midterm savings account, which is probably that 7 to 10 year account where maybe now you have something coming up. Maybe it's time to buy that new house. Maybe it's time to fund a kid's college education. That's where that midterm savings account comes in. And then everybody's familiar with long-term savings. Long-term savings is a typical 401k or 403b, whatever your entity is that your school has. I'm assuming it's mostly a 401k, I'm going to guess. It's long-term dollars because it's all locked up till age 59 and a half. And that's why we say you can typically get to those dollars, but who wants to lose 40% of their money just to get it to kind of fill a need? So that's why we like to layer our savings. So here's a good example of what I always like to use of what compounding interest looks like. So this is somebody that they want to save, they want to accumulate $1 million by age 65. Okay, so assuming an 8% compounding interest rate, okay, here's what it takes to save on a monthly amount at different ages. Most of you, if you're 25 or if you're even close to 30, $285, that's not that much money. But by the time you get to 55, you have to save $5,400 every single month to get there. Now that's something, I mean, that's the value of starting early at an early age, no matter what amount is, it's going to get you farther along in the game. So how long do you think you'll live? So one of the biggest misconceptions is everybody has a magic number. Well, that magic number moves every year because everybody keeps getting older. So no longer do we have you're retired at age 55, you've got a pension, they give you a gold watch and you live 10 years. Nobody does that anymore. Everybody is living well beyond what we call we have a certain age range for when clients or potential clients live and die, okay? So there's a 50% chance as a male you're going to live beyond age 88. There's a 50% chance as a female you're going to live beyond age 90. And if you're married, you're probably going to live past 94. So all that being said, there's a real risk of you outliving your money, which is something that it's not a concern until you probably hit 45 to 50. That's a real concern at that point. This is just kind of going over the same thing. This is just talking about what you want to look at as far as when you are looking for that future. Social Security going to be there, and nobody knows. We don't think we're going to elect any officials that's going to just completely get rid of it. But for my parents who are 68, I know for sure I'm not going to get the same amount that they've got no matter what. Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, go ahead. Yep. So here's the different types of accounts that everybody uses to save money in. A is traditional savings account. Earns no interest, but it's good for that short-term account because it's liquid. It's cash that you can go get to it very readily. It's accessible. There's individual bonds. There's mutual funds. A lot of people, you can even include individual stock trading in there. That's a different type of account. Employer-sponsored plans. There's also IRAs. So I get asked this question all the time. What's the best IRA to get? Traditional or Roth? I say it all depends on what you need and what you have at work. If you have a 401k at work, you can't have a traditional IRA because you can't have two tax-deferred accounts. A Roth IRA is tax-free. I'm always a big fan of you need some money that's going to save you now on taxes. You also have to have a bucket of money that's tax-free on the back end. Because what it's going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to pull from both of those so you're not depleting one, or you're not having to pull that same $40,000, you're not having to pull $60,000 out of your 401k. You can also use a life insurance account for that as well. It's taxed the same way as a Roth is. Difference is that we use permanent life insurance for more of a midterm account because the cash value inside that is actually liquid. And actually grows similar to rate of return as the stock market does as well. Okay. So, the number one enemy to a retirement plan is debt, no matter how you look at it. Whether that's college debt, whether that's a house, whether that's mortgage, whether that's credit card debt. It's a big hindrance to planning for retirement, because a lot of people, they go, I've got to pay this debt off before I am able to save for retirement. I always tell them, there's some truth to that, but there's got to be a both and in there, because what you're doing, if you just hammer down debt, yes, you are going to be able to, when you finish that, you're going to be able to save twice the amount of money. The downside of this is you probably lost 5 to 6 years of compounding interest, that now that same dollar that you're saving 5 years later is not worth as much. No, it's fine. Everybody. Also, one last thing on there. Everybody's got to create a budget. I don't care if you're 21 or if you're 55. You have to have a budget to live on, because you have to know what's coming in and out of your household. For me and my family, I only do one. I do a budget and balance plan. So I take what my liabilities are plus my assets. I do that at least once every 6 months. I don't feel a need to go through a monthly budget as far as adding to every single month. I think if you do that once every 6 months, that gives you a good idea of what you paid off, what may be added on, what increased in value as far as retirement accounts, investment accounts, or maybe you got a house, or maybe you have rental properties. So this is a good guideline of saying, this is the ideal picture, and this is of what living within your means looks like. Now, is this something that everybody can do? Probably not. But it's a good picture of, if you ask, hey, how do I live within my means? You always save first, so you pay yourself first no matter what comes in. You pay yourself first, that 20%, whether that's investing in your 401k, that's your short-term savings, that's your midterm savings. Everything else goes to your fixed expenses or your discretionary income, whether that discretionary income for people are different. It could be, maybe it's to buy a nicer car, maybe it's to upgrade the house as far as that goes, or clothes. But that's a good picture of what living within your means looks like. I already paid, go through that one. Sorry, hit that. All right, so if you can't tell, this is what everybody wants in their house. It's a money tree. I found it online. It's the fanciest one I could find. That's all my PowerPoint gave me. But when we talk about growing your money, everybody asks you, where's the best place to put it? The point of your money is to grow it. You want to see that account value grow. This is where starting, if it's $50 a month at age 25, is better than waiting till age 30 to save $100 a month. This is where the starting early really comes in, because the earlier you can start, the bigger your money tree is actually going to be. So everybody likes to talk about the stock market. I hate talking about the stock market, because honestly, this last couple of years, it made me want to throw up. So when we talk through investing, and with my clients, it's either talking about investing inside their 401k, because that's one thing you guys really need to pay attention to, is you want to make sure you know how your 401k is being invested. Because if you don't tell them how it is, then the plan manager or whatever, they're going to pick it for you. And I ran into some people where I've helped them where they've changed careers to help grow their money out of. They were stuck in a plan that was, they can't touch that money until they're 55 years old, and they had no idea. And it was very low yielding bond. So it's one of those things where pay attention to how they're investing your money, okay? Also, you want to talk about, if you save outside of that, you've got to be able to stomach the ups and downs. So that's why we always talk about what's your risk tolerance, okay? We have 5 different risk tolerances that we talk through with our clients. You can be conservative, be moderately conservative. You can be balanced, which is probably what 80% of the people are. You could be aggressive, which most of my clients, 35 and under, they like to be aggressive because they have a longer time horizon. Or you can be very aggressive, which I don't recommend anybody. Okay. So I always talk through our clients. It's big to know what, we always say this word, asset allocation doesn't really mean anything, but all that means is how your money is split up. So if you just put your money in one specific area, you're really not diversified. So we always say, hey, what's your asset allocation inside of that? Where's the different places your money is going? Okay. Also talk through, we also do what's called an investor risk profile. I do that with my clients whether they invest with me or not, because I know with them I say, hey, take this is what I was telling you, take this back to your 401k guy when you sign up every year and tell them, make sure this is my personality. I want to make sure I'm invested that way. So when we're talking through protecting your assets, also the biggest conversation around here is actually protecting your ability to earn an income. So that's probably the number one topic that I talk through with my clients. The first two things we talk about, no matter what age they are, I always ask them, how much life insurance do you have, and how are you protecting your income, or how are you protecting your assets? A disability, a long-term care event, or a death, those are the three biggest things that have the biggest impact to your assets and your ability to earn an income. And if you look at death, there's two different kinds of death you can have. You can either die prematurely or there's eventual. And we all know that one's going to happen. Okay. So when we talk through disability, a couple different major causes. And disability, typically, it isn't what everybody thinks about. Everybody thinks about, well, my job's not that hard. I'm not going to get hurt at work. Okay, so I can tell you a story about something I went through with a client of mine, at least not last year, but the year before that. So kind of paint the picture. He's a 38-year-old male. He's a surgeon. And the year before that, we put his planning in place. We did life insurance planning. We did disability planning, because for him, it was extremely important to make sure that he protected his income. His wife didn't work. He had two young boys. About 3 months or 6 months to a year after we put his planning in place, he got our top rate. He called me on a February, I never forget it. He called me and said he had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he was not going to be able to work for a year. Fortunately enough, we had put his disability planning in place that paid him a tax-free income. I remember sitting down at his table. It kicks in after the 91st day of his injury or illness. Sit down at his table with his family at that 3-month mark saying, hey, this is about to kick in. He goes, thank you, because I was out of money. If we hadn't done that planning, there's no telling what could have happened to his family, whether it could have been house foreclosure, it could have been forced to go back to work before he was even healthy enough to do that. There's no telling what can. That's why protecting your ability to earn an income is the most important thing, and you never know how that's going to happen. Typically it's not going to happen at work, it's going to happen to something else. Life is going to happen to that. Okay. So there's two different types of disability insurance. I would guarantee say probably 98% of you have some form of group coverage, whether you know you do or not. Kind of tell you how that works. They say it's going to protect 60% of your income. Really, it's going to protect 40%, because if that university is paying for that disability coverage, they're deducting that off their taxes. So you really don't get that full 60% of your income protection. You have what's called a 2-year occupational specific contract, which means for 2 years they're going to pay you to be off work as a video coordinator, or whatever job titles that pretty much, yeah, as a video coordinator. After then that 2 years, if you can come back in any capacity, you have to come back to work, no matter what. Or they're just going to go ahead and say you're fired. Or make sure you're on Social Security, so that way they're going to do away with your position at that point anyways. The only good thing about this is it's free. I like free. So what we do is we come in and we complement it with an individual policy. That individual policy is tax-free. It gets you closer to probably 90% of your income when you pair it with your group disability. It's also occupational specific. So our company with Northwestern Mutual, we only care if you can go be a video coordinator. I could care less if you could do anything else. That's why it's extremely important to have both of those. And this one is extremely inexpensive to pair with that. It also lasts until age 60, or 65 or 70, and it doesn't matter whether or not you have a Social Security benefit with that, whether you're on state disability. One thing I'm going to touch on this briefly, but it's actually probably when you talk about a long-term care event, most of us in this room probably have a family member or know somebody close to our family that has had some form of a long-term care event. whether that they had a stroke and they had to stay home, whether that's they had a heart attack, or maybe they had to go to the nursing home. A long-term care event is actually the biggest risk to your investment portfolio. Because if you have assets built up and you have to go to a facility, they're going to want you to deplete those first before you can get any kind of state-mandated care. When you protect that, you want to make sure it's no different than have a separate bucket of money. It gives you that extra plan. It's no different than having a life insurance policy in your life. You have long-term care insurance to protect your investment portfolio that you've built up, because you don't want to deplete that to pay for an event. You want to make sure you can stay home as long as you can as well, because that's important. Okay, so this is probably my second biggest discussion I have with all my clients, is how much life insurance. What's the right amount? I can guarantee you nobody in here, that amount is the same for everybody. Everybody has a specific number that's the right amount of insurance. And that's no different if you were single or if you're married with 4 kids. Everybody's number is different. The factors that I always add into whenever I'm trying to figure out the right amount of life insurance for a client, I always add in, what's your debt? Do you have kids, or are you at least planning to have kids? And income replacement. That's the one that if you go talk to most other people, most any other insurance agencies or whatever that is, the income replacement is going to get left off. If you're married and you have a dual income household, you want to make sure if you're not there to help them out, okay, if your income's not there, not only are they grieving emotionally, they're going to be hurt financially as well, because they don't have that second income coming in. So that's where we always talk through income replacement. If anything, if you're wondering what it is, a good rule of thumb, everybody needs, and that's whether you're professional, married, or single, everybody needs 10 to 15 times their income in life insurance. And it's not that expensive to get either. Okay, so we're about to be finished up here. So everybody, you know, we always talk through giving. Giving can be different things. It could be giving your time. It could be giving back to your school. It could be given to a charity. And that doesn't always have to be monetarily. It could be something that's just close to your heart or close to your family's heart. It's just kind of going over time or money. Okay. So here's just kind of a recap of what we talked about. Talked about saving in the right amounts, saving in different buckets of money, which is absolutely important. Talking through debt reduction and budgeting, making sure you're taking care of that, making sure you know what's in and out of your family's household on a monthly basis. Talking through growing your money, what's the appropriate age to start saving. Talked about protecting your income. Talked about protecting your family. We talked about giving back. Okay, so now I like to open it up. And I promise, there's no dumb question. I've been asked 1,000 different things. What's been on your guys' mind as far as whether it relates to insurance, whether it relates to investments that I can maybe help out with while we're here?
What's your take on like corporate bonds versus government bonds? Because I mean, I realize that government's going to be a lot safer investments and things of that sort, but also you're not going to earn near as much back. I know you were talking about the risk factor of that earlier.
So it's all about when he asked about as far as corporate bonds and government bonds. I think when you're looking at that, you're looking more of, okay, time horizon's a big deal. So that comes into safety. If you're young, you're willing to take more risk, that's where the corporate bonds probably fit you and your personality better. If you're 50 or 45, you really don't want to take that much risk on your money, because you can now see an end date. You can see an end. So that's where, as far as it really doesn't matter, it's more of sitting down and figuring out where you're going and how fast you want to get there is all where that goes. Yes.
So, like my wife and I were with Northwestern Mutual for supplemental insurance, things like that. And
right.
We realized, like you said, if you lose that one income, you're not just losing it temporarily, you're losing it for a long time.
Right.
And it could be even forever. And obviously that's catastrophic to a family that lives off 2 incomes.
Right.
It's been really, and that's been new to us since last year. So it's been really, really good for us to have someone to kind of walk us through the process. Can you kind of like explain a little bit of what it's like when you go through with a client? Because honestly, to us, it was like, where do you start?
Right.
And it was really, like for us, it was comforting to have someone to kind of hold our hand and walk us through it. It's been great.
Right.
To know that we're setting ourselves up for the future, but at the same time protecting ourselves for the near future if something were to happen. Can you kind of just walk through the process of
Yep.
how you go through things with your clients?
Absolutely. So when I'm sitting down with my clients, and he asks, what's the process of how this all gets started? So the first thing I sit down and do with my clients is it's more of an information collecting meeting. It's nothing, when the first time they come sit down, I never talk through numbers. I never talk through, hey, here's how much you need to be saving or anything like that. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know where you're going, what are your goals. So it's more, we're spending 35, 40 minutes, even up to an hour, getting to know each other. And it's more of I'm sitting there letting my clients talk about what their goals and their dreams are of where they see their family, more than it is me really telling them what they need to do. The next step is we agree upon after that meeting what we're going to come back and talk about the next time. Is that going to be, are we going to talk about how you're invested? Is that going to be talking about, hey, here's how much extra life insurance and disability planning you need to be done? That's our next step. After that, we put those things in place, whatever that is that we both agree that we're going to move forward with. After that, I meet my clients at least once every year to make sure their plan is updated. To make sure, because you never know when you're going to have if you have a kid, or if you have a third kid that wasn't planned, or if you bought a new house, if you sold a house, if you're planning on now buying rental property. Every year I meet with my clients to make sure that plan is updated, and what we have in place is going to keep up with where you guys are going. Is that pretty well kind of nail it on the head?
Yeah, I think so. Good for us.
Anybody else? Okay. All right, last one. So I want to say thank you. Big shout out to my brother-in-law, DJ, American Conference Video Coordinator of the Year. Bravo, DJ. He's going to appreciate that. He's a Cubs fan. They may actually win something this year, so everybody hold back. Nobody knows. Yeah, I enjoyed that one. But, just to let you know, I am out of Arkansas, but I work in I have probably 20 different states that I work in currently. I can work in any state that there is. That's my information there. You can call, you can text, you can email me, whatever that is. I do have a website out there that kind of just tells you a little bit more about myself and where kind of how my practice is set up. Also like to thank Chris Luke as well. So he's the one that helped me get here as far as that goes. But I hope it was relevant. I hope it was meaningful, and I hope nobody really fell asleep that long. If not, I hope you got a good nap in. So if you guys don't have anything else, I do have some information at the back that has my card attached to it as well, if you guys want to grab one of those. If not, I'm here the rest of the day and probably for part of tomorrow too if you guys have any questions. Thank you so much.